Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 38 of Social Chat. I am very happy to be joined by Louise Clark, who is a parenting coach and amazing businesswoman. We will introduce her formally in just a couple of minutes. I want to say a quick word about Social Chat. So Social Chat is a weekly live show that we've put together, Heather and I, to help small business learn from people that are leaders in their industry. What they do works really well with social media, and we hope that these episodes will help you stay inspired and educated. This is a live show. We are going live on Facebook and on Instagram at the same time. If you have any questions, you can ask them to us right now, and you can watch the replay. We'll also save the keynotes of this episode on our website at keepitsimplesocialmedia.com. And now I'm going to bring in the lovely Louise, and there she is, and here's my sound effects. Woo!
Thank you.
Welcome, Louise.
Thank you so much, Catherine. It's lovely to be here this morning with you and all the viewers. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. I think my internet is a bit slow, so I'll try to speak slowly so it doesn't drive people crazy. You seem beautiful, crystal clear. So I will let you maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is you do.
I am a certified parent coach, and I work with parents who are struggling with various things in their parenting. It can be from kids not listening, to being disrespectful to their parents, trying to get your kids off devices. That's a huge one. That's something that bothers a lot of parents. It bothers me too. I am a mum to 3 teenagers, age 13, 15, and 17. So I live it, breathe it, get it. I understand parents and where they're coming from. And I started my life as a parent coach 10 years ago. And it came from a situation that I was invited to when my eldest was 3. My husband and I were invited to attend a parenting group with 8 other couples and a parent coach and counselor. And he one day asked me if I would consider doing what he did. And to cut a long story short, that's exactly what I did. And that's where I am now.
Oh, wow. So there you go. Here I am back. You have, so I found you because my husband bid on your services in a silent auction, and it was the best thing ever that we ever got in a silent auction. You've been very helpful to our family. And along the way, I discovered your website, yourparentingpartner.com, and then I realized you had not only a great website, but a blog, a podcast, and rocking social media accounts. And I wonder, how did you come about it all, about the decision to have a blog and a podcast and all these different mediums to showcase your services?
That's a good question. And like many people, when you start out in any business world, the first recommendation I had was a website. So I started with my website, and I was recommended to write and post blogs regularly to try and get myself up the Google rankings. So I did that, and then I was told you need to have a Facebook account. So I opened a Facebook page, also called Your Parenting Partner. And for a year, I really worked hard on that, trying to build my online presence on Facebook and write continuously. Probably about once a week I posted a blog. And then someone said, you should be on Twitter. So I joined Twitter, and I built a following on Twitter. And, and so it goes on and on and on. And as soon as you've got one thing under wraps, something else glossy and shiny shines at you. And I do believe that with hindsight, it would have been good right out the gate to have had the website, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and then add on the other various social media channels that can help you bring it all together. I saw the biggest increase in traffic through my website was definitely when I added opt-ins into my blogs. And I really started tracking the traffic that was coming through there and trying to, I also tweaked my website to make it way more personal. And I think that helped me a lot. You know, I want parents, when they come to my site, and, you know, you can tell me if you found this, was when you read my words, when you see my photographs, I want the viewer, the reader, to get a flavor for me, to be able to kind of get my personality from the words I choose and the way I've written. So I really worked hard on personalizing my website. And I think that really helped me push traffic, more traffic to the website, more traffic to the Facebook page. Twitter, I started off strong and I let it fall. But I do see a huge value in kind of cross post. If I post a blog, that I make a poster for it on Facebook, I put it onto Instagram, I put it onto Pinterest. Pinterest is a new one that I'm about to embark on. I've just taken a Pinterest course, so I'm looking at using that. And then the biggest thing of all, you mentioned earlier, was the podcast. So I started the podcast about 3 months ago. And actually, it was Gary Vaynerchuk, who I follow. I'm an avid fan of. I think he has so much useful advice for anybody who's running a business and anyone who wants to, in his terms, crush it. And I think a podcast is really important because I believe that voice is where it's at, you know, especially for parents. Because, and you know, if you're a woman and you're watching this show and you're looking for advice, I would say that women are often multitasking, whether they're running a business in retail or whether they're like me, a parent coach or a counselor or whatever it is you might do, a dietitian. You are speaking to an audience who is being pulled in a million directions. So if we can speak to them so they can be doing something else at the same time, I found that really useful. So for me and my audience, you know, what do they want? They want things that are under 10 minutes long so they can catch it in the car when they're taking kids to school, or they can catch it while they're folding laundry in an odd 5 or 10 minutes. So I really am looking at trying to make sure I give my clients what they need and I know what their needs are. How much time do they have? Are they watching? Are they listening? Are they both? But I really believe in voice.
I must say I went on your podcast and it was great because I was able to go for a run and listen to all your advice, and it kept me busy, and I could see how it would be really great in the car as well because you get all these great tips when you're out and about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And trying to grab that 10 minutes here and there, it's important for parents. And like you said, you can go for a run and you can get some advice. You can make dinner and have the podcast on. You can be in the car doing drop off and you can listen to something on the way home.
Yeah, it's amazing. So now the question that comes to mind, that's a lot. Like, we are social media managers. This is what, and marketers, we do this. This is our main business, and it's extremely time consuming for us. So I can even imagine how it must be with you, along with getting your practice. So what's the strategy behind it? Like, do you have a schedule? Like, if you post like the blog on Monday and then you have the podcast, like how do you organize it all so it can be done efficiently? Especially, I'm thinking for people who are watching this and thinking there's no way I can tackle all this. I can't even find the time to post on Facebook. So what would be your thoughts on that?
It's a very valid point, and at times it can become overwhelming. And I think the message to myself is, as soon as it becomes overwhelming, it's a reality check to me to say, how can I do this in a more efficient way? How can I do this in a way that doesn't overwhelm me and take over my life? Because it can. And certainly in the earlier days where I was building my organic reach on Facebook and posting 15 posts per day on my Facebook page, it works. Absolutely, it works. In 18 months, I gained 24,000 followers, and that was through hard work posting. But you mentioned scheduling, and I schedule it. I would take, a 2-hour block of time, and I would go to the various pages that I wanted to share to my page, and I would schedule those using the schedule posts page on my Facebook page, and I would bulk schedule, and I would schedule, up to, 100 posts to go out over 5 to 7 days. And I also do the same thing. I create a Facebook poster every day with a quote for parents, and I bulk do those. So I sit on Canva for an hour or two at a time, and I make all my posters at once. Then I save them to my Dropbox where I can access them easily to upload to Facebook. And then from there, I upload to Instagram, and I will be uploading to Pinterest as well. So it does take time, and the best way that I can recommend is to be pretty organized and scheduled with it. So yes, when I write my blog, I aim to write my blog on a Monday, and it takes me about a week to write, about 4 or 5 days to write a blog. So I often post it on a Friday. I write it, I tweak it, I reread it, I tweak it, I reread it, I tweak it, I prepare the opt-in. What is the opt-in going to be? And then by Friday, it's looking good. So the week I spend a lot of my time writing and getting an opt-in ready. And then the Facebook posts are taking care of themselves. And then every day I do go onto Facebook, and I think this is an important thing that I learned, and maybe it will help someone else, is anyone who shares your poster on their various social media platforms, I always thank them personally. I think it's really important. I like getting thank yous for when I've shared people's posts, and it's this reciprocation kind of thing where you thank someone, they might share you, and when they share you, you reach their reach. So all these things, but absolutely scheduling and trying to do it in bulk and batch it. So, block your time during your week for your social media, and then I allocate about half an hour a day to actually just doing my kind of daily stuff. I share to various groups. That's a good way to increase your reach, is to put your posters, put a blog you write into other groups that have like-minded followers.
It's really interesting, the bulking and the batching, because we teach that in class, and we try to say people, when they're trying to come up with content, we say it's so much easier if you just batch a day with a specific topic, and then you can go along and be more organized and keep on top of it, even with videos as well. What do you use for scheduling tools, and maybe some apps or so you mentioned Canva, we love Canva. Is there other apps or tools that you use for photography, for quotes, or for scheduling and video that you'd like to share with us?
I keep my eye on AppSumo and everything that they provide. And occasionally, they'll come up with one, and they have these great deals where you'll get a lifetime access to an app for a ridiculously low price. So I use Rocket Link, which is a good app to be able to track. You put a pixel on your Facebook page, and you can track the traffic that comes through your Facebook page. So if you're wanting to retarget your audiences, you can use that. That's really, I find that a very useful app. In terms of scheduling, I used to use CoSchedule when I was tweeting more. I have used Hootsuite. I think there's something and everything for everyone, and you need to just find something that works for you. I'm absolutely going to look at finding something that works that will work for Pinterest and Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I find that, one thing's good for a couple of platforms, but something else works for the other. And of course, the big challenge when you're posting to Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and Twitter is that, Twitter and Instagram like a square pixel, like a square image, 800 by 800, but Pinterest prefers a rectangle. So I'm trying to find a way to have one poster that I can create that somehow there's a platform that will recreate that poster in whatever the pixel count is required from whichever social media platform you're posting to. Maybe you can help me there.
Yes, you can use in Canva on the top left, it says resize, and you can choose to resize to whichever social media platform you want to use. And then the image gets a bit distorted because it has to fit, not distorted, but you'll see some white space. So you have to stretch the image or the background or some of the text to make it fit perfect. But it does give you the exact format that you're looking. It's kind of the magic way to go about it, is the Canva resize.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to learning from you guys. Thank you. I will explore it. I will look into that for sure. But in terms of scheduling, I do my scheduling in Facebook just with the options that Facebook have. And then Instagram's pretty quick to just upload from your photos. And Pinterest I'm about to dive into. So I'm just trying to get more information on, a little bit more information on Pinterest, and then I'm going to go in there and use it, because, you know, Facebook, I mean, the Pinterest is a SEO algorithm, same as Google. So it's very good for pushing traffic back to your website. So sharing your blogs and using the same SEO algorithms. So I'm really looking forward to exploring Pinterest and using that a bit more.
And how does it work in terms of podcasting? Do you have a specific microphone you use? And when you do videos, do you use a different camera? Like, what equipment do you use? Because I think a lot of people they understand kind of posting and Instagram, but the podcasting can be really intimidating. So what would you say for someone trying out with podcasting?
I would say of all the things I have done, setting up my podcast was the most straightforward and the most simple. I registered my podcast with Anchor FM, and it really is very, very straightforward. You can access it from your desktop, and you can also access it from your iPhone. And when I first started recording, I was using the mic on my desktop. And then I changed to a microphone that sat on the desk, you know, one of those round I got it on Amazon. That one was really good. But I found then if I was out and about, I needed to record and I didn't have the microphone, I would use my phone with a Rode microphone, which worked. And just recently, I'm learning all the time, I use an app called Voice Memo, which you can download on your phone. I'll show you here what the little icon looks like. If anyone can see here, it's the one at the bottom that's white with the little gray bars on it, and it's called Voice Memo. It's called Voice Memo. You go into it. It's very simple. You hit that record button. It records it beautifully. There's no echo, no nothing. So if I'm sitting in the car and I want to do some podcasts, I can just talk into the phone. It saves it as an MP4 file, which I can then email to myself. And then when I'm back at my desktop, I save it to my Dropbox, and then I can upload that MP4 file directly into Anchor and publish the podcast. And, you know, the one piece of advice I have, and no one told me this, is, you know, when you start something new, you press start, and you have this thing in your mind thinking, oh my goodness, I can't make a mistake, it's live. They're not live until you publish them. So you can chat away, you can test it, you can play it back, you can delete it. And when you're comfortable with it, then you can publish it. And to publish inadvertently is incredibly difficult on Anchor. So the chances of you actually posting a podcast to your platform as a newbie that's got mistakes in it is almost not possible. But the setup's super easy. And that Voice Memo app is fantastic. You were asking about apps earlier. I use that all the time for my podcast, and it uploads perfectly to Anchor. And then Anchor, actually, they upload you onto various other platforms. So I'm now hosted on 11 different podcast platforms. I'm on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, there's 11 of them there now. So the more you podcast, the more you get recognized and picked up by other platforms. So it kind of just, it's like a snowball, and very quickly you get a good reach with your podcasts.
Yeah, that is so interesting. This is something we are not doing. So we're learning with all of you people on Instagram, hello, and on Facebook. This is really fascinating. And I suppose that you can have your intro and your end words kind of saved. So you just add that little section, your new section each time, right?
You can. And I've got friends that do that, but it is an extra step. And I set out with this expectation that I'd have this beautiful music, just like all the other podcasts, and my intro and my outro. And then I realized to actually do that, it makes a 3-piece podcast that you have to piece together. So what I actually, because I'm the type of person, whereas if I have to do 3 steps, the chances of me doing it are much less than if I have 1 step. So I decided I let go of the music, I let go of all the fancy frills, and I record the intro, the podcast, and the outro all in one. But what I have is I have the intro written and the outro written. So when I sit at my desk, I read the same intro, go straight into the podcast or the episode for the day, and then finish off with the same information. Those of you that are listening to this will realize that I've not clipped it together, but there might be people who think it's a clipped intro into the podcast, into the outro, because it's the same every time.
And you mentioned that's such great information. I think now we all want to start podcasting. I think what's interesting as well is with all the artificial intelligence platform like Alexa and Google, a lot of people podcasting now have the opportunity to do 60 seconds on Alexa. This is a whole new world, and all these gadgets that are helping you around the house, I think, are going to be the kind of the next norm in every household. And all of a sudden, the voice, not too long ago, we thought that radio would be forgotten. It was one of those things that was just going to go away. And it's so good to see that first it's there to stay, and there's a whole bunch of new medium that are going to be working with that. So good on you for podcasting, and thank you for sharing that information. Yeah, now for Pinterest.
Sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned Alexa, and that is one of the reasons why I podcast every day. I post 5 days a week. And, you know, within 2 months, I've got, you know, there are 72 episodes on my podcast now. And the reason I'm doing it is to get onto Alexa, because you have to have a bank, a good inventory, in order to get real estate in Alexa. And so I'm banking all of them. I heard something along those lines that, you know, if you have a podcast and you've half a dozen episodes in your podcast inconsistently, you're less likely to be able to get into Alexa than those who have a regular podcast with a bigger inventory. I think it works hand in hand with Alexa. So that is my goal. Alexa's my goal for sure. So parents can go, Alexa, tell me what Louise recommends today.
Alexa, my son's driving me crazy. What should I do?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is really, really great. Now, what would you recommend? So a lot of the people that we teach and coach and some of our followers are small business owners. Either they've had their business for a while or they're just starting up. So what would you recommend looking back on things if you'd say, oh, I wish someone would have told me that. I wish I would have had someone kind of mentor me and say, these are things, maybe on 2 aspects, if you don't mind, on maybe a couple. I know it's really hard to circle the whole parenting thing, but it would be hard to miss. So if you want to say as a business owner, and maybe for a couple parent tips, because it's like a bonus for us.
Yeah. What would I do different? I would have made my website more personal right off the when I first started. You know, my website was more formal. I thought that might be the way forward for me and my audience. I don't think it was wrong, but having made it more personal, I think people want to see who's behind the websites, and therefore if the websites speak to them and they can get a flavor for the personalities that are behind them, I think it's really important. So that would be my number one piece there, and to share your stories. People love hearing my stories because there's this assumption that because I'm a parent coach, I'm a perfect mum and my kids must be perfect kids. And it's so far from the truth. And when I share my stories and share my struggles and I stand in my truth and I'm authentic with that, people, they like that. So I would recommend you are always, authentic with what you do, share your stories, share your highs, share your lows, because everybody else, someone somewhere will resonate with that, and they'll realize they're not alone. We're all in it together. We're all in the same boat. So, I do have parenting struggles. Of course I do. I'm human. I'm a mom. My kids will trigger me, and my kids are normal kids. So, but I do have the tools and the tips and things. I've got the toolbox that I can turn to. So my struggles and challenges that come, I know how to better navigate them. And sometimes I need more help, and other times I get it more right. Yeah, I see Heather just said that people do love stories and an authentic share, and I agree 100% there. Absolutely. So that's my recommendation for if you're starting out on a website, is make it personal, share your stories, give people a flavor for you, because that's what people want to see.
Perfect. And maybe one quick tip about devices and social media addiction with your kids.
Okay,
get them off.
One quick tip. How long have we got? Here's something that I think it's a bit of a bitter pill for parents to swallow, but I'm going to throw it out at you. If you're parents here and you're listening, I don't actually believe that technology is the problem. It's not the enemy. The problem is our inability to set healthy boundaries around it, and our inability to role model the digital behavior that we would like our children to adopt for themselves. And I think, as parents, especially as working parents, it's incredibly difficult to role model that well, because you're running a business, you need your phone, you need to be at 24/7. I ask yourself, do you really need to be on it 24/7? We're led to believe we do. And if we're role modeling that to our kids, then they're going to be on it for 24/7 as well. So I think the more important thing is to look at what are the boundaries that you're setting, and are you setting them, and are you holding the limits? And that's usually where things break down with parents, is they're very good at saying, that's it, you've had enough time on your screen, and then they're distracted by theirs, and they run off and do something else, or you go and make dinner, and then you realize, oh, your child's been on their iPad for another hour, but it's saved you time. And we look at the child and say, it's easy to point to the child and say, you were supposed to stop that after an hour. You've pushed the button. You point the finger at the child. I point the finger at myself and say, what can I do to help my child manage this better? And up to a certain age, they need us to do it for them. And then ultimately, we want them to be able to do that for themselves. So how are you helping them be able to take responsibility for their device use? And are you role modeling and shaping your behavior into that which you want them to adopt? Because they're great imitators and they will copy you. So if you're on your phone all the time and constantly going like this at the dinner table, guess what? They're going to. If you've got your phone on in the car, and even if you're on your hands free, but you're doing things, they're going to do that. If you interrupt them to check your phone, they're going to interrupt you to check their phones. So monkey see, monkey do. It's hard though, because, we want to do one thing and perhaps have our kids do another. So I don't think the technology is the problem in itself. I think it's our inability to manage it well, set healthy boundaries, hold the limits, and help our children understand that we're not out just to get them and nail them and tell them to get off. It's for their healthy development and their brain development.
You're so good. Isn't she good, everybody? This is why you want to hire her as your parent coach, and listen to the podcast and go read the blog. It's so such good information. Louise, we're almost at the end. We're at the last 60 seconds of the show. So how can people get a hold of you?
People can get hold of me if you like what you've heard. My name, Louise Clark. The website is yourparentingpartner.com. And the other domain name that I have is Parenting in the Thick of It. So my podcast is called The Parenting in the Thick of It Show. The YouTube channel is The Parenting in the Thick of It Show. And my private Facebook parent coaching group is The Parenting in the Thick of It. So if you Google that, I'll come up. Your Parenting Partner, tons of blogs, lots of podcasts, 72. And there's a few YouTube videos, got to work on that, but I'm kind of obsessed with voice right now. I think that's really where it's at.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure. And we are going to have you, actually, I'll bring you back on to say a little bye-bye to everybody, if you want to say a last little hurrah.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching and listening. I hope it's been helpful. If you do have any challenges or struggling with anything from a parent perspective, reach out, and from starting your business and which way to go and how to do it, also happy to help you there. You can get me through Catherine or through the information I shared earlier. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Catherine. Thanks so much. I learned too, and I'm looking forward to learning more from you. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you. That is the end of episode 38 of Social Chat with Louise Clark, your parenting coach. And we will join you. We will be live next week as well. And the keynote of this episode with links to Louise's website or social media channels, her podcast, and how to get a hold of her, the apps that she mentioned and different software. All the keynotes are going to be on our website at keepitsimplesocialmedia.com under online learning. There's a section that's called Social Chats, and all our Social Chats keynotes and the video version are saved there, as well as on YouTube and Keep It Simple Social Media. So that's it. Until next time, keep it simple, everybody, and take good care.